deputy chairman, not chairman, deputy chairman of SANTACO in Gauteng. Following him, we've got Mr. Fanyana Sibanyoni. Mr. Fanyana Sibanyoni is the Treasurer General of SANTACO. Mr. Fanyana Sibanyoni is also the chairman of SANTACO in Mpumalanga. Then we now also have Mr. Sai Siakamela. Mr. Sai Siakamela is the training officer of SANTACO, and he comes from the Northwest. Then we've got the chairperson of SANTACO Women Desk in South Africa. She is Omama Ududu.
The taxi relief assistance amount is non-negotiable, so we're not going to hear an adjustment.
There is Veronica is misbehaving. Sorry about that. Griselda, please mute your phone. Griselda, please mute your phone. Then we've got Umama Dudu. She's the chairperson of SANTACO Women Desk nationally, and she also sits in the national leadership of SANTACO as part of the leadership. Then we have also the provinces, chairman of provinces chairman of other provinces. We've got Ntate Sebeho. Ntate Sebeho, Serame Sebeho is the chairman of SANTACO Northwest. And then we've got Ntate Mtimkulu. Ntate Mtimkulu is the chairman of SANTACO in the Free State. Then we've got Omama Lungiswa Mfana Mapicha. She is the only woman who leads a province in the taxi industry. She is the chairperson of SANTACO in the Eastern Cape. Then we have Manir Abdurrahman. I don't see him. Mr. Abdurrahman is the chairperson of SANTACO in the Western Cape. I believe, Press, that I have introduced the entire leadership. I have
Mr.
My apologies. You are the one who's voting as the head office chairman. My deepest apologies. The last but definitely the most important, because the headquarters of SANTACO are here, is the chairman of SANTACO in Gauteng. This is Mr. BJ Mkonza. Apologies once again with that, Mr. Chairman. Then we've got the Chief Strategic Manager of SANTACO, Ntate Agimoni, Ntate Bafana Magakula. Where are you? Raise your hand. Oh, there he is. And then obviously you've got the noisemaker, myself, who will be coordinating this program throughout. Now, members of the media, the president of SANTACO will now be the one who delivers the decision taken by the leadership last night, and what they take and be able to tell you what the industry has decided to do as of today, so that you are able to understand what to expect going forward. I want then to indicate that after he has spoken, my understanding of the program is that the chairman of provinces will be allowed to say a word or two, or the president will decide how to handle that. And after that, you will be at liberty to ask questions as members of the media. Press, I would now hand over to you.
Tabisha, did you hand over to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. From the media and colleagues from SANTACO, from all the 9 provinces. I'm sure the media has listened to the introduction that it's all the provinces that are here. Thank you for making time Thank you for making the time during this trying times to rise to the call each time we need you, colleagues. Much as this time has been difficult, it has been more difficult for our operators on the ground, most of whom are the first and direct recipients and casualties of the COVID-19 impact. Members of the media who have joined us here today, thank you for your availability. I would like to apologize on behalf of SANTACO for the confusion caused earlier today around the time and actual hosting of this conference. Your understanding is well appreciated. Since the lockdown, SANTACO has been working closely with our government in effort to play its part of saving not only the country, but importantly, the vulnerable communities that we transport on a daily basis. You would all remember that after the announcement of lockdown by the state president, President Cyril Ramaphosa, government regulations required the taxi industry to load 50% to achieve social distancing in the taxis, as well as general mitigation of the virus in the industry. It was the most difficult time of our business because the regulations allowed only 15% of the taxi industry legally operating fleet to provide a service. The service was mainly for the transportation of employees of essential services. This means 190,000 taxis were not operational, but even those working were struggling to make petrol money just to keep the servicing of our commuters. We consequently requested a meeting with the Minister of Transport, Honorable Fikile Mbalula, to propose solutions to the situation. At the time, we rejected 100% proposal, and we did so based on what government told us scientifically it is a health hazard. We instead proposed a relief fund. Alternatively, that government do not drop the petrol price. You would remember it was during the petrol price increase. Do not drop the petrol price and use the money that could have otherwise been reduced as money to assist as intervention. Our proposal was outrightly rejected, and ultimately we mutually agreed to on 70%. Despite this, we were shocked to hear through the media the minister announcing 100% contrary to our agreement. Again, at that time, we expressed publicly our objection. But even with the 70%, it must be clarified that it was merely a compromise. But critical to note, the taxi operator was not making any profits from this. This being the case, our commuters still expected us to sanitize vehicles in terms of government regulations and ferry them to their destination without fail. We did that, and all the time we did that. We were and still are the only mode of transport that has not received any subsidy from government. Ironically, during this lockdown period, it has been us as the taxi industry doing government work. It has been the taxi industry now literally subsidizing the commuters. About 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Transport surprised when he made an announcement about the government taxi industry relief fund. Following our meeting with him, it was our expectation that he will afford us to engage with our constituency and give a report to that effect. The minister knew that the matter was sensitive and we had no agreement in place with him on it. We are therefore inclined to believe that minister wanted not only the minister wanted, but that he also wanted to canvass his own understanding of what he was doing, but he also wanted to canvass, to canvass his understanding, which he wanted South African public against the taxi industry and project us as unreasonable for not accepting the 1.135 billion rands. The minister also continued to make wrong statements about us, which for a long time we avoided responding to. But we want to appeal to the Minister of Transport to please refrain from misleading the public about the taxi industry, because so far we have been at pains to contain ourselves from responding to some of this misleading statement. Today, however, I would love to put some of this into perspective. The announcement of the minister on the taxi industry relief does not reflect the spirit of our negotiations with him. Nothing that he said was finalized. Parties agreed to engage further. I want to draw 3 issues from there to explain the position of the taxi industry. Taxi Industry Relief Fund. The taxi industry relief fund, the taxi industry do not accept the relief fund offered by government, and we feel for the sacrifices that the taxi industry has endured since lockdown started. The offer is just a clear demonstration of what this government thinks about the taxi industry. Registration of taxi operators with SARS, and I want the media to take note of this because it's very serious. All legal top taxi operators in South Africa who possesses an operating license also have a SARS tax clearance certificate. Our proposal to the minister was that since this is the case, why doesn't government use the operating license certificate as a qualification criteria instead of creating a complicated process for the applicants? If the issue is about general formalization, which we do not dispute, we are saying do it as a phase 2, minister. On the operating licenses, the minister says we requested that receipts be considered as proof that operators have applied for operating license. We reject the minister's assertion that government has been considerate, even accept receipts as part of application for relief. We want to express that government does not have a choice but to accept these receipts, because these receipts are the creation of government deficiencies. And you can go to Gauteng, you'll see that operators mainly in Gauteng have these big problems. It's now more than a year that operators have been waiting for their operating license. The license system in Gauteng has been a problem for years, leaving many operators without the necessary legitimate documentation. It is for this reason we want to challenge the minister that in the event these operators who have waited for years do not get their licenses, SANTACO will have no choice but to approach the courts for intervention. It is unfair for operators to be punished for a waiting period that is outside the legislation. Government does not have the basis for this. Having said this, colleagues and media, let me now give you the decision of SANTACO and its leadership, the taxi industry in the country. On the meeting we held last evening, yesterday on Saturday. This meeting came after the Minister of Transport postponed our planned meeting with him for the third time. I must also say that even after our meeting as a leadership, the ministry did again schedule a meeting for 1 p.m. today, just before midnight, which meeting we agreed to. Again in the morning, the minister postponed our meeting for the fourth time. It has become clear the minister does not appreciate the gravity of the situation and the frustration of the people on the uncertainty of their only source of livelihood. In light of this, in the meeting last night, we declared it would be irresponsible for SANTACO to put the fate of the taxi industry in the hands of postponements. 3 weeks ago, we approached the minister to present to him 4 issues, namely, the 4 issues are the following, namely the relief fund, the 100% loading capacity, opening of long-distance operations and for the operators of long distance to operate. And we had also the taxi fares. The minister requested time to consult with the Command Council, and we asked our people to wait. And since we have been waiting in vain, the leadership last night made the following decisions. We have decided that leadership of SANTACO provinces must inform their structures that as from tomorrow, the 29th, that is Monday tomorrow, all taxis must load 100% capacity, whether the minister approves or not approves. All taxis must load 100% capacity, and all long-distance taxis must resume operations as from tomorrow morning. And we are also indicating that no permits will be wanted from passengers who get into the long-distance taxis. This is a subject to the necessary safety measures that includes. This is a subject that also necessitates safety, which includes the following: wearing of mask in the taxis, which is compulsory in terms of the law, sanitation of taxis and commuters as they board taxis. For long distance operators, and I want media to listen very carefully here, we say for long distance operations, marshals must ensure that all boarding commuters are screened and recorded, and that a proper filing system is kept safe. All regional taxi councils of respective long-distance taxis must be given a weekly report, of this information, including taxis that loaded. Associations must ensure taxi drivers do not load beyond the taxi legal loading capacity, which means that no taxis will overload. If the certificate or the vehicle says 15, it will be 15 passengers plus the driver. We know what we mean. It will not be exceeding the number that is on the certificate. Taxis and drivers must also ensure sanitation at the end of work, which means when they knock off, they must ensure that they sanitize themselves and they disinfect the taxis. We have taken this decision against the frustration and lack of direction from government. We are aware that law enforcement will want to impound our taxis. Our vehicles have been impounded since day one of the lockdown with a charge of at least 5,000 rand. If you want to release your taxi, a charge of 500 rand if you want to release your taxi. We have complained about this wrongful impoundment to the minister, and nothing has been done to this day. Tomorrow we will not accept any form of impoundment. Operators will have no option but to park all their taxis countrywide until the impounded taxis are released and we are allowed to continue with our work. I think I must repeat that one. No taxis will be impounded. And if any taxi is impounded, all taxis in South Africa will come to until all the taxis that are impounded, even that one, is released. This government found us here with our own struggles, promised us subsidy for 26 years, with every coming in minister just telling us the same story and giving us the same reminder. Today, the current minister expressed the same empty commitment made by his 7 predecessors. All of them, and you can go to Parliament, you will find that they have all put dates when the subsidy will start in the industry. All 7 of them, and nothing has happened to today. We expect 100% loading capacity to be maintained, long-distance operators to continue uninterrupted, and the relief to be reviewed. Nothing less than this. We have complied for 26 years with every law announced by government in the name of formalization. 26 years later, we have not seen any benefit of this formalization except operators losing their business and only livelihood. I therefore want to thank all the taxi drivers, taxi operators, queue marshals, and all the commuters who have given us support during this time, who continues to make our business to function and ferry our people on a daily basis. I want to thank them for complying with all directives we gave them, the directives of government laws, despite the difficulties they found themselves in. We have all done our part to play the ball. But at this moment, I must indicate to South Africans and to the media and to government that we have decided to face the bull and take the bull by the horns. Whatever comes should come, but we cannot continue to have postponements of our business. We cannot have postponements of our work. We cannot have postponement of our livelihood. So we are saying all operations as from tomorrow, the 29th, in all the 9 provinces will be loading 100% capacity, but in compliance with the regulations as we have indicated. And all the long distance operations will resume their duties with compliance to the lockdown regulations. I want to thank you for having listened to us and for having given us this opportunity to indicate to South Africans what the position of the taxi industry is. And lastly, I just want to ask the media, please don't call me a taxi boss. Just call me a leader of the taxi industry if you don't know my position. But we are not bosses, because the word boss comes from with a very bad history. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, press members of the. Thank you, press. Thank you, members of the media, for listening. If you allow me, press, I would want to take each chairperson of the provinces just to make their own input if they have, and then we can then allow the media to ask questions. I will start with
President.
I will start with President, first Deputy President. KwaZulu-Natal. Yes, press, you can speak on behalf of KwaZulu-Natal. We will then go to, while the press KZN organize itself, we will then move to Northern Cape and Tate Mazwe, Chairman of Northern Cape.
Thank you, MIT. Good afternoon, industry and the media, all media houses that are present today here. I just want to 100% what the president put forward to you today is what we, the Northern Cape, asked for and are standing for and believe for and are going to do. Everything that the president said we support. Because the aeroplanes are loading 100%. And KZN was saying coronavirus came with planes to South Africa. We are not the transporters of coronavirus. Secondly, we want that 100%, we demand that 100% because this government really for the 26 years never thought about us. It's playing basketball with us. The last one is tax. There is a rumor in the country that we are not paying tax as taxi operators. I want to emphatically state today that we are paying the most taxes in the country. I believe that the people who are not paying taxes are the ones who are treating us this way that we are. Because people who are in parliament, they are living out of our taxes. And we're getting that treatment, and we being the payers of the tax that they are living on. So I want to finish with saying that really we can't stand back anymore because we are in a catch-24 situation. Our members, our cars are going to impound at everything. Our lives, we also have families and everything. We also have children.
Okay,
we also have households, but that is not considered by the government and its minister and the National Command Council. So we stand on this, what the president just said. As of tomorrow, then we take the bull by the horn. Thank you.
We will then move to the Secretary General, the Chairman of SANTACO Limpopo. Ntatele Ntswane. Ntatele Ntswane seems to be having problems. We will then move back to KZN. Ntate Zondi, are you ready? We will then move to the chairman of Northwest, Ntate Sebeho. Unmute your phone so that you can speak.
Yeah, MIP, thank you very much, President, members of the media. That is the resolution that we have taken last night, and we will continue to press forward. The 4 items that the President has put, we have been discussing for the previous months, and the minister has got a tendency of not respecting the leadership of the industry and making it as if we don't want to support the government in all endeavors, that we need to fight this pandemic, the coronavirus. We have complied. We have made sure that we assist the government and the commuters where we can. And at this point in time, we are not going to take the 1.1 billion rent because the government is not taking us very seriously. We are going to go back to our 100% loading. We are opening the long distance operations, and we will survive because we have been surviving without the assistance of the government. Therefore, like President and Second Deputy President have said, we are taking the bull by its horns. That is the statement that we are putting as the industry, and Northwest is 100% behind these resolutions. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm thinking if the leadership allows me, those who have not spoken, because I see many of you from here have got problems with connectivity. I'm thinking let us allow the media to field questions, and some of you will find opportunity.
Tabisho, I thought that you must, Tabisho.
President?
Can I request that you give Ms. Mabija and Mr. Mkonza an opportunity?
Okay.
Just to say 1 or 2.
Yes. And I'm saying those who may not have spoken in this round.
Or they will respond.
You will then, during the response time, find an opportunity to say something. Maybe I will allow Mama Bija Ngizokniga in the next round, the chairperson. Bengsafunuk Dedela o chairperson was mama to say something, and then we will move into the questions with the media. And then in the next round, Gauteng will start, and then followed by Eastern Cape.
Thank you very much, Tabiso, the president of SANTACO, the South Africans. SANTACO has been very patient with the government, and government has not availed themselves. Every time there is a meeting, they keep postponing. And what is going to happen if they are not availing themselves? They will hear over the news what we are saying as the tax operators. What we are saying is 100% loading tomorrow. We start, because if someone is not available to speak to us, then you have to take decision and make decision on behalf of the industry. And the minister has not made any study with the industry. It does not understand how many widows the tax industry as we speak. So thank you, Tabi. Just that.
Nyabonga, ma'am. I would allow the media to pose questions. Let us try. I'm sure it's not the first time you handle an environment of this one, as virtual as this one. So I would call the names I see here. If you've got a question, you will put it. If you don't have a question, you'll pass. The next round, you will have another opportunity. We will start with SABC. Griselda? SABC? Okay. We will move to ENCA.
Hi, Tabiso. I'm sure you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Hi, Tabiso. I'm sure you can.
Griselda, this is SABC. Right. Your line is bad.
All right, Tabiso, just a question to Mr. Philip Tybosh. I'm really struggling to understand. If you say that the taxi industry is going to be loading 100% capacity from tomorrow, how exactly are you going to do this within the protocols of social distancing? It doesn't seem to make sense from where we are. We understand and have been following, these multiple postponements by the transport minister, but this decision that you have taken, do you not believe that you'll be putting passengers at risk? There's absolutely no social distancing that will come with having a taxi at full capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Griselda. ENCA? ENCA? We go to Newsroom Africa. Sakiseni?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Tumaule.
Okay, yes. It's Tumaule Msauri from Newsroom Africa. And my question, yes, my question is basically with
we are struggling with the
saying that come what may, the taxi industry is going back to 100% capacity in terms of operations, especially with long distance and inter-provincial travel as well. What happens then? Are you not pitting the industry's operators, the drivers, against the state and state security forces? What should they do if the police and Metro Police and other law enforcement agencies intervene and try to maintain the status quo? Are you also not putting commuters then squarely in the firing line should any conflict break out? Thank you.
Hi, Tabisha. This is Christian from Netwerk 24. Can I also ask a question?
So can you still hear us?
Hi, President. He seems to have lost time in press. Okay. Can I take the questions? Christian, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The question I want to ask is, with the 70% loading capacity, what exactly is the impact on the industry with the loading percent of 70%? How dire is it?
Okay.
President, can I answer that one of social distancing?
Yes, Bibi, respond to that one. Tabisha, are you back?
Thank you.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
He's back. Yeah, Bibi, can you respond to the social distancing and also respond to the loading capacity?
No, thank you, President. Firstly, before I respond, as the leadership of KZN, we fully support the 100% loading capacity that is going to start from tomorrow. In regards to social distancing, I think that question needs to be posed to the minister himself, because he was the first one who told the whole country that airlines needs to load, aeroplanes needs to load 100% with no social distancing. And he went on telling the lies to South Africans that if you are in the aeroplane, there is something in the aeroplane that kills the diseases in the aeroplane. The question that each and everyone is asking is that, how did this disease come from China or wherever to South Africa? Because in an aeroplane, there were these things that were eating disease, not to do social distancing, and in a taxi you must be compelled to do social distancing. It is on that basis that we as the taxi industry have decided that we are also doing the very same thing that the aeroplanes are doing. The second one, permits. We've also went ahead, we went into the aeroplanes, we booked tickets after the lockdown, and we were not asked any permits. So it is also, we are also saying taxis should not be asked, passengers should not be asked permits, because when you board the aeroplane, you are not asked any permits. What is going to happen if, as we were asked the question, what will happen if we are caught by as we are saying, traffic officers and law enforcement should not be used by a minister to do the wrong thing. He's doing the wrong things, he should also be locked up. So we are saying, should there be a taxi that's going to be locked up, we are going to stop all taxis in South Africa because up until the minister stopped using his dirty taxis to fight the taxi industry.
In light of that, Press, can I also allow the chairman of SANTACO Gauteng as well as his deputy to add, and then followed by Mama Bija?
Thank you, MIP. Good afternoon, President, and good afternoon, colleagues of SANTACO, and good afternoon, all listeners there. As SANTACO Gauteng, we really support the call from the national office, because as SANTACO Gauteng, we have been always calling for the 100% loading capacity, and also we've been calling for the long distance operators from Gauteng to various provinces. We support the resolution that have been taken in the meeting yesterday in the afternoon. Thank you very much.
Mama Bija ungakhuluma mama.
Thanks, President. To the President, SANTACO provinces, the media house, and the fellow South Africans, would like to register as well that SANTACO Eastern Cape supports the 100% loading. However, we are very disappointed that things had to turn out this way. We're hoping that the government and our office would be able to resolve this in an amicable manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe before I allow the leadership to speak, let me check from the media if there are any further questions. Do you want to make a follow-up, Griselda, ENCA?
Yes, Tabiso, I hope you can still hear us.
Sure. Shoot, Mama.
Okay. Tabiso, I'm a little bit concerned. The part that I didn't get answered from the leadership there is... if you have Metro Police, stopping taxis and enforcing, what they will say is enforcing the law, this puts not only your taxi drivers, but also the passengers themselves at risk, because they will be the ones traveling from point A to point B to be stopped by law enforcement who will say the taxi is not supposed to be carrying so many people. So are you not afraid that this will put your passengers as well as your taxi drivers at risk?
Tabisha, can I respond to Griselda?
Okay.
Griselda, and I hope I'm responding also to everybody who wanted to ask this question. First of all, we are saying that as we always do, our drivers will always be protected and the commuters will be protected. But what we cannot do is, if somebody comes and infringes on their rights to be transported, we will not fight back. We are not going to do a fight back. But what we will do, we will listen to that, and as they stop that particular vehicle, all the vehicles in South Africa will come to a stop. That is the position that we are putting there, because we don't want anybody to be at any kind of risk. If that happens, then it says to us that as a taxi industry, we need to stop until such time that government gets out of its postponement of meetings with the taxi industry, as if we are not part of the broader public of South Africa. I'm sure you can understand, Griselda, that for the last week and a half, we've been waiting for the minister to come back to us. And the minister keeps on postponing. And the postponement that is made, it's even a very unproportional postponement. It's a telephonic postponement of meetings. No respect for the taxi industry. And I don't think that we should actually, the finger should be pointing at the taxi industry. We should be saying that government must take charge of what the minister is doing with the taxi industry.
Anybody who would like to add?
MIP,
Yes,
can I come in?
I've noted you, Griselda.
Thank you.
MIP, can I come in?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Just a moment. Let the chairman of Northwest first answer.
All right.
Come after Griselda.
Yeah. As much as the media house are concerned about the loading capacity, if the government can open the schools, if the government can open restaurants, if government can allow movement, and forgetting that we are the people who are transporting all these people, and we need to stick on the 70%. It is very much unfortunate that we were willing to assist. But if the government can't see the reason behind the 20,000 rand that we are asking, and can't see the risk that they have put on the long distance operators for not operating for 4 months, then this must not be an issue. We are saying we have been living the way we have been living without the assistance of the government. So we will make sure that each and every person is sanitized. And like we are saying, we will keep the records of all the long distance travelers for a period that will be required. And it mustn't be a problem today when we are saying we are going back to our 100% loading capacity. Thanks.
Okay.
Can I also add something here, Chrisanda? I think it is important that we bring to the attention of everyone in South Africa that the harassment from law enforcers will not only be starting when we are loading 100% and we are opening for long distances. That is how we are living on a daily basis. So we are being harassed every day. So it is not going to be something new to us that we are being harassed by enforcement agencies. But also currently, as we speak, you will find that a taxi will load from Durban going to Johannesburg or Ladysmith. And if traffic officers find that there is one passenger that is not carrying a permit, they will tell all those passengers to go back to Durban, because there is one passenger who is not carrying a permit. And it is for that reason we are saying we are being harassed in any case. So we need now to bring to the attention of everyone in South Africa that we cannot take this thing anymore.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Chairman of KZN. Griselda, and after you, it would be
Maule, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon once again. I'm just interested to know, did the minister give any reasons why he had postponed multiple times? Any one of the leadership can answer this, because I know this meeting had been scheduled for quite some time. Was any reason given to you as to why it was not going ahead?
Noted, Tumaule.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is centering around the call for full operations to resume, and saying that you'll take the bull by its horns. I want to find out, how are you going to ensure, as you've said, that you will call on members not to take on law enforcement agencies should they be stopped? Should any of your members be impounded or stopped, then you'll bring the whole taxi sector to a halt. But how do you enforce that discipline if someone, understandably after such a long time, feels frustrated and decides to take matters into their own hands? As SANTACO, how are you going to ensure that that doesn't happen? With of course, passengers being the ones who are going to be likely caught in any dispute that should arise.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Okay. In light of the absence of any President, and you can be able to respond. And
Tabisha, can you just remind me on the question of Griselda so that I can adequately respond to?
I was doing that, Press.
Griselda.
Okay.
I think I got it, Tabisha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Griselda, if I had to respond to you, we have not received any single reason for postponements of all these meetings. The person who is actually chairing this meeting, Tabiso, he is my manager in my office, and he is the one who's doing communications on my behalf and on behalf of the SANTACO with the Secretary General. We have not received any single document which gives reasons as to why this postponements. And then to Maule, let me indicate that what we are going to do, I'm sure you have noticed, except certain exaggerations in Gauteng on Monday, we are not allowing anybody to use violence during this actions that we are taking. And we believe that the leadership of the taxi industry will at all times be there to ensure that there is strict adherence to the law of South Africa, especially when it comes to violence, that nobody is going to be violently removed from the taxis. Hence, we are saying that if one of our taxis gets impounded tomorrow, because of government not being able to come to us and give us a directive. Remember, it's not because of the taxi industry and not being able to listen. We are not getting a directive. We don't know what to do. And for that matter, we had to improvise so that we can be able to continue living as a taxi industry. So we are improvising. We are making sure that our industry is not dying in front of us. So we are saying that we will ensure by all means that there is no violence, and that whoever impounds our vehicles should impound the entire taxis in South Africa tomorrow.
Tumaole, I think you have been answered as well as Griselda. I will then check if there are any further questions. 1, if there are any further questions, 2, if there are any further questions, 3. So I would take it there are no further questions, and I would allow the president to make his concluding remarks, and then we come to the end of this virtual press conference.
Thank you very much, Tabiso, and thank you for the media and colleagues. Let me remind you that when SANTACO was established purely to ensure that the taxi industry is organized, the taxi industry get legalized, that the taxi industry ensures that there is no violence in this country. and we will live up to that. We will ensure that there is no violence. We will ensure that we really organize our operators in such a way that they keep to the laws of the country. So I want to indicate to the media, I want to indicate to the public of South Africa that we are doing this out of love of the commuters that we are transporting on a daily basis, and out of the fact that we are the self-subsidiaries of all these vehicles that will be on the road tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Press. Finally, what I want to say, Chairman KZN, it seems you want to say something.
No. I'm done, but I'm saying forward with the struggle, forward.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson.
President.
Yeah. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank members of the media. It has been quite a tussle to put this together. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Tavisho. Thank you.
And thank you, leadership, for making the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tavisho.
It is very clear that tomorrow will be a new day in South Africa. Members of the media, I've sent you the statement of SANTACO as read by the president. Please feel free to organize further interviews with us. I know some of you want further interviews. We are more than happy to fill that. You can directly talk to me once you feel the need to do that. This brings to conclusion this media conference. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, that is the SANTACO media briefing on the way forward in the taxi industry. And of course, you would have seen there the breaking news story then of this hour is that the Taxi Association, SANTACO, is saying that they will fill up to 100% fill up capacity from tomorrow, whether the Minister of Transport, Fikile Mbalula, approves this or not. The taxi industry has accused the Transport Minister of not taking them seriously after scheduled meetings between themselves and the minister were postponed up to 4 times, saying that the minister doesn't appreciate the gravity of the situation. That was said by Philip Taibosh, who is the SANTACO president, also pleading to the public and the media not to call him a taxi boss, but he is SANTACO president. The meeting was set to discuss increasing taxi loading, the meeting they were meant to have with the Minister of Transport, and the meeting was now set to take place tomorrow, but we hear now, of course, that the Taxi Association, that SANTACO, is saying either way, they are going ahead from tomorrow, 100% full capacity of taxis. And of course, this means that it throws out social distancing rules at this time. They've said that they are rejecting the relief offer that was given. You'll remember that the Minister of Transport did offer a 1 billion rand relief for the taxi industry, and the taxi industry saying that this is an indication of what government thinks of the industry, and that they reject the assertion that government has been generous. Of course, no doubt, this is a story that we will be continuing to keep our eye on. So tomorrow, this is what is happening. Taxis will be full, 100% full capacity. We will be back with more news, and of course, we'll continue to recap on that briefing by SANTACO. Do stay with us here on SABC News.